All right. So on the show today, I have my friend Val. She's awesome. I first met her, well, in 2025 when I was out on the road. I can't remember which trade show I met you at, but then I was like, oh, I love this girl.
Well, when we finally, I think we had a conversation in South Dakota, Property Meld.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, in South Dakota, which that was my first time being in South Dakota. And I was like, oh, I love her. She's awesome. And then we got to spend a little bit more time together in Orlando at the end of the year.
And times.
Yes, I discovered we're both Pisces and manifesting generators. So for anybody that follows, human design, you'll know what we're talking about. But I wanted to bring you on because I love to bring on like other badass women, entrepreneurs, and talk about your business and learn more about your business and the areas you serve. Because as you know, I teach people acquiring property management companies, and we look at so many different facets of the company before we go and acquire. So take it away. Tell me a little bit more about you, where you are, a little bit more about your business.
All right. So yes, my name's Val. I run this, it's called the Appliance Professionals. Well, has two names to it. I'm the VPO for the Appliance Repair Men and the Appliance Professionals. The Appliance Professionals is the division of the company that focuses on working with other property management companies and warranty companies. So that's kind of like what we're currently focusing on and growing. I am currently sitting in Nicaragua because I'm Nicaraguan, but I was born and raised in California, and I've been living here since like 2008. And found this job. My degree was in biology. I did not think that I would end up running a company that is nationwide appliance repair, but I kind of just ran into this. I found this when I was finishing my degree in college on like Craigslist, just to make some extra money on the side. And it honestly just ended up snowballing, and I ended up sticking with it. And I've been here for now 13 years. And this company has grown. And this is what I do now for a living, and I love it.
Well, I love that. So, wow, 13 years is a really long time.
Long time.
Okay. And I know people are probably listening and they're like, appliances, wow, that is maybe not the most sexiest thing. But if you're in property management, I feel like appliance repair is a very sexy thing because appliance repair is like one of the hardest maintenance item things to do. I think, because it's really hard to find people, right? So tell us.
One of the hardest and one of the most needed, because it doesn't matter like where they live, like apartment, RV, huge, whatever house. Everybody has at least like average 5 to 6 appliances. Like, doesn't matter, maybe the quality or the style of the appliances varies, but literally everybody hopefully has 5 to 6 appliances. So it's just literally a matter of time before somebody needs something. And so, like I always say, the demand is not going to slow down anytime soon, I don't think. Even with all the AI and the tech, it's not going away. And it's always going to be needed. But yes, it's very difficult to deal with, which is why we pretty much focus just on appliance repair right now, just because it's hard enough as it is.
Okay. So how do you work? Like, is it like you're finding the appliance repair company and then you're like doing all the dispatch, or how does that like work?
Yeah. They're all subcontractors, but we don't necessarily function like a lot of the maintenance companies, obviously subcontract, right? It's just all about getting vendors. But we like to say we have like full-time subs, kind of, right? Okay. So yeah, they're subcontractors, but we really get to know them, right? Because we're only focusing on appliance repair. So like we're talking to the same guys. Like some of these guys have been with us for like years. Some of the bigger companies, maybe they use us to kind of fill in their schedule if they're a little bit slow. Some other companies or some other like individual kind of like independent techs that maybe just like a one-man show with like maybe one assistant, maybe they don't have a storefront. They use us for work because advertising is very expensive. And we're just provide essentially a constant workflow. But it's not like we just randomly call somebody when we get a work order. No. And we refuse to do that. We won't do that. I'm just going to bring myself a bunch of problems, right? So a lot of these guys, we get to know them, right? We get to know them. We know how they are. We get to know who their families are and what time they get up. I always a joke, but it's true. Like we know, like, okay, well, this guy, we can't send him out on Saturday mornings because he goes out on Fridays and he gets a little wild. And so we're like, oh, let's schedule him for Tuesday. By Tuesday, I think he got the hangover ready to go. So it's like those kinds of things. We've been invited to like their weddings. Like we have this one tech. It's like, for example, we know We've been with us for like 10 years taking work. So he's like, oh, we already know from like October to December, we can't send him any work because he'll randomly go to Colombia. He'll just randomly go. So we're like, no, this is his phase of like just randomly disappearing. Let's wait till January. So like, those are the things that like takes years of just doing this and getting to know people. So I think that's what kind of makes us a little bit different in the sense that we're not just randomly calling and hoping for the best. Like we get to know these guys, right? So
yeah, so like huge on relationship building, really. So that's
totally.
Fun. And how many states are you in?
Okay, so for what we're talking about today, like the Pleasurable Professionals, which focuses on working with property management warranty companies, we started off a few years ago when I wanted to grow this because on the other side, the B2C consumer.
Yeah.
Got it. That side, we're in 40 states, but on this side, we started off with like 22. Past few years, we've grown to 27 states, right? Nice. Yeah. Nice. So you can't just grow. I mean, there's a lot of demand. So the issue is not necessarily us getting more work. It's more just like the techs, honestly. That's the most challenging part of our business, right? Especially when you're having them do work for property management warranty companies. It's already hard enough as it is finding good techs. And then on top of that, when you have good techs that are also willing to work with property managers, a lot of them don't like it, right? They've had bad experiences. They don't like waiting to get paid, right? Net 30, whatever. They don't like that. There's a lot of things that they don't really like. So I think they've had some bad experiences in the past. And I think that's kind of been the challenge, is changing that perspective and also kind of just closing the gaps and kind of just figuring it out. What is it that you don't like about working with these companies? And then I'll just kind of take care of that. And so that you will be okay with working with these companies. So yeah, so we take care of everything, like literally, because we already know the excuses. We already know the issues. Like we've been doing this for so long. I always joke about like the infamous, like, oh, you know what? Parts are on back order. It's like, are they really? But right. You don't want to be rude and say like, I don't know. And then like I mentioned this to you before, then you have the customers like, what do you mean? It's in stock in like 8 places. Right. So that's always terrible. So those are the kinds of things that we've learned. Like we know how to deal with the techs. We know what they like, what they don't like. We know how to come at them. We know all of those things. That's what we do for a living. And we know it's really difficult. And for a maintenance coordinator to have to deal with something like that, like following up over a part for 2 weeks, like that's such a tedious thing. And it's so frustrating. And then they don't answer. We at least will answer. You know what I mean? Like maybe our techs won't even answer us. Maybe, I don't know. Hopefully they do. But we're always going to be there to find a resolution and answer the phone. And I think a lot of the frustration is kind of just like, it's not just finding a tech, which is hard to find sometimes because they're so busy. Right. But it's also like the following up and all that. It's just super tedious and frustrating. And then you're using, your maintenance coordinator's time and valuable time instead of using it for something else. You're using them to literally just be following up and everything, right? So yeah, so we take care of everything. We work with every platform literally that exists, I think. We've had experience with every platform. We'll take the work order via email, text message, doesn't matter. We're experienced with everything. You would have like our coverage list, but you would send us the zip code and like the basic details of what it is. The goal is to get back to at least with some sort of answer within an hour max. Like, hey, we got it, or like, yeah, we have a tech, but let me just check his schedule. Or no, we don't have a tech, or some sort of update, right? Because this frustration is lack of updates, right? That's where you start getting, everyone just starts getting desperate. Mm-hmm. So the work order comes in, the zip code, we get back to you. Yes, we have a tech, and literally we'll take it over from there. Literally, like we'll take it over from there. We'll schedule with the tenant. We'll schedule with the tech. We'll make sure he actually shows up. Like, are you on your way? Like, are you really on your way? So it's that. And then it's like, we provide the majority of the parts unless the tech has the part on their truck. That's one of the main areas of where you can like make things so much quicker is the parts, right? Because you're relying on somebody to buy the part. Maybe they don't order it right away, right? Normally you give the money to the tech and he comes back with the part, but it's like, did he order the part? How long did it take to order? Maybe he used the money for something else. Maybe he went out on a date and then he makes the money back and he buys some time and then he eventually makes the money back and then he orders it, right? So then that's why it's on back order, right? So those kind of things, right? Not all of them do that, but that happens. And so there's a lack of control there. So it's hard to work with subcontractors in general, but we try to control as much as we can. And the parts thing is a huge one. So we're able to complete the jobs substantially faster. We charge a $65, and we know it's low, $65 diagnostic fee per appliance flat, period. Wow. So for sure you're going to get that charge and you're going to get at least a diagnostic fee. And then after that, we send the tech, we take care of the parts, we give the parts at cost. we're not even interested in making money off the parts, to be honest with you. Like
Wow.
because we're making money off the fact that just the efficiency of the fact that we have the control over the parts, right?
Okay.
If the tech provides a part maybe on site, which is great, then the most maybe 10% markup will allow, but that's about it. Because we're not interested in making money on the parts. We're interested in completing the job quickly, not just because that's the right thing to do, but it's also because it's in my best interest, because I'm charging a diagnostic fee. We have to still pay the labor and we have to pay for the parts and all these things. And so for us to make money just as a company, I have to do volume. And for me to do volume, it has to be quick. So it's not just quick because that's what we got to try to do. It's also in my best interest to do it quick, and also ideally a reasonable price, because I want the tech to make their money and things like that. So we also watch that. We have a lot of data and experience. And so we'll notice that we kind of know where all the sketchy areas are, I guess, right? So
yeah, that makes sense.
So we literally take it all the way down to like, hey, it's done. Here's the invoice. We already called your tenant, because we don't just take the text word for it. We're not going to just, it's ready. Oh, okay. No, we have to make sure. Hey, I heard they tell me that your thing's ready. Is it ready? We're good to go. Yes. And then that is when you'll get an invoice, and that's it. It's done. We'll take care of our tech. So you don't have the text like, where's my money kind of thing, because they don't like to wait. We'll take care of them right away. And then we're the ones waiting to get paid. So that's how it works.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So, and that really helps like the whole maintenance coordinator or the property manager, however the company's doing it, because that takes like one less thing off their plate. Because I will say I've done anything and everything in property management. So I've been that person that's like calling the appliance repair. Oh, did you get it? Did the part come in? Like, have you been able to schedule with the tenant? It can eat up a lot of payroll time for sure.
Yeah,
So
the techs that are like really good at the following up and following through, they're not, to be honest with you, it's not common, because there's a shortage of appliance repair techs in the United States, trades in general, which right now, especially right now with AI, that's like, trades are like the best thing. I'm all about the trades. Like there's so much money like that you can make just the things, what I see in this industry. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this, it's insane, because there's a shortage of tech. So the demand is not stopping anytime soon. It's never going to stop, because what I just said, there's 5 to 6 appliance per average, literally everybody, hopefully, right? Everybody you know has that. Doesn't matter where the fuck they live. So then, and then you have a shortage of tech. So it's like the work is endless. So we have great techs, but the techs that I feel like benefit from us the most are the techs that are great at fixing the actual like appliance themselves, but maybe they're not the best at like the office stuff, like the following up, the following through, the coordination, right? And the techs that are good at that, they're super busy. You can't get an appointment for at least minimum 2 weeks, and they're very expensive, and they don't even really need us for work because they're just super booked, right? But unfortunately, the reality is the majority of techs are not the best follow up and follow through people, right? So that's literally our job. Our job is to hold their hand throughout the whole process. We're like adult babysitters, I guess, in a way, right?
Or property management. Yeah. So what about, do you guys have like a average size company you work with? Or, would you take on, like, would you work with a company that's 50 doors or 5,000, or it doesn't matter?
We don't care. We literally don't care. Like as many or as little as you want. Same thing with the techs. They can also take as many as little as they want, right?
Right.
We don't care if it's once a month, once a day, 10 a day. We'll make it happen. But
okay. Yeah, no, that's really cool. So you're in 27 states?
Right now we're currently on this, 27 states and growing, right? We hear at conferences, there's a lot of areas where they're like, oh, we're desperate, right? But it's kind of like, what we like to do is first, obviously we have to find the tech, process, make sure, check them out, train them. And then we like to kind of send them off first on the kind of like the B2C side, the appliance repairman, which is kind of like one-offs, right? Like individual kind of private homeowners. And we kind of just watch them, make sure they do a good job. Like I said, no matter what, we're always going to be there to like provide a resolution. So if there's ever an issue, it doesn't matter if I use a subcontractor or not. It's just the cost of doing business. If there's ever an issue, we're always going to be there to resolve it. So because we're the ones that send the subcontractor, it doesn't matter if he's a subcontractor, the responsibility falls on us.
Right.
But anyway, so we like to try them out. We like to get to know them, because obviously we care about every side of this organization, right? Both sides. But obviously it's a little bit easier to deal with an issue if it's like a one-off private homeowner customer, as opposed to like a potential company that's like 100 a day, right? So it's like, And on top of that, there's a lot more steps to doing a job for a property manager or warranty company. There just is a lot more requirements, the pictures and all that before and after and this and that. There's a lot more things. So, but fortunately, we have the other side to kind of watch them and kind of see who has the potential. And then, hey, are you interested in this? And a lot of them are like, they're maybe great, but they're like, no. So that's kind of the challenge. So that's why there's a difference between, we're talking 40 to 27, but we're getting there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's really cool. So basically the property management company would only really have to deal with your team. Like they're
literally, that's the hope, right? I mean, that's what we want. We don't want you to even talk to the tech if you don't have to. Like, we'd rather not do that. I think that just makes things more complicated.
So the work order goes to you guys, your tech.
So we're the vendor, but in reality, we're like thousands of vendors all over the
universe. Yeah, I love that.
The property manager adds us as one vendor. But in reality, I mean, you're getting nationwide appliance repair coverage, right? But you treat us like a one vendor, so it's just one point of contact. And then the person who's in charge is very accessible, right? So it's like, if there's ever a super issue, then we're going to take care of you. There's not going to be which is part of the problem, is like the not answering, the desperation of like trying to call this tech, and then your tenant's like, what the hell's that? And then the owner's pissed, and like, you're like, oh, hold on. And then you're like calling this tech and he doesn't fucking answer. It's terrible. So you're always going to have, at least at the very minimum, somebody's going to answer the phone and give you at least some sort of info. And worst comes to worst, there's going to be some sort of resolution no matter what.
Right. And so are you guys like open 7 days a week? So like for after hours?
I mean, okay. So the other side is literally 7 days a week. There's always somebody taking a call. Right now for the other side, what we're talking about, the punch for professionals, it's Monday through Friday. Well, no, Monday through Saturday. There's some people are working on Saturday. Okay. Could you send us a work order on the weekend? Yeah. It might not be booked. Some of those actually, depending on, because we've integrated with a lot of like some of the major softwares, we're integrated with like Property Meld and things like that, right? So in some cases, depending on kind of like your setup with us, like you could probably send us a work order, and in some cases you can get it booked and with the tech ready to go over the weekend. But when it comes down to just like customer service and like somebody answering the phone, it's usually Monday through Saturday. But the reality is the person in charge, I kind of make him be on call if he has to be on call. I mean, that's just kind of like how it is, right? So especially in this industry, I mean, we understand it's a very tough position to be in between the tech and your client.
Right. Yeah, no, that's cool. So I know you had amazing growth in 2025. Do you guys have like anything on the horizon? Like, are you doing anything new in 26, or do you have any like specific goals, or is it just keep doing what you're doing? And
I mean, I guess keep doing what we're doing. It seems like it's working very well. My goals right now, I think I mentioned to you, because God bless, we have grown substantially. Now it's kind of like optimizing so that I can continue to grow, because I don't want to start effing up. So we are optimizing.
Say the whole word. You can say the whole word on my show. I said
you can? Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. I wasn't sure. I should have asked you this beforehand. I was like, am I like breaking the rules? Anyways, I feel so much better. So yeah, I don't want to start fucking up.
Yeah, I'm the slayer. I don't have a lot of rules. So
yeah. Okay, good. Great. Like samesies. That's when we get along. Samesies. So we're kind of working on some kind of like partnerships with some companies, right? There's this one, for example, warranty company, that industry, they're notoriously known for being difficult to work with, right? I mean, I think that's just across the board. And that's why we can't work with some of them. And they're like desperate. I mean, they really need help, but I think their processes, they're just not realistic. And I think the issue with some of these companies is that you have to be realistic with who you're working with, what you can ask for, or else it'll be super difficult. So warranty companies have been difficult. However, in the past few years, we've been able to work with some great warranty companies that have been willing to kind of work with kind of more how we would like to work. And it's worked out fine. And then we're kind of in talks with some companies, maybe partnering with them and to make it easier, because it's not just difficult working with warranty because of their requirements. It's like their systems. A lot of the systems and all these things are just extremely complicated, and the claim numbers and what's covered, what's not covered. That in the appliance repair industry world, it's so hard. Like, I don't even know how they even take care of their customers for appliance repair. What I've heard, they're not the best at taking care of it. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
So on the property management side, I know the warranty companies are not very popular because of that whole issue, right? So like, I have managed properties before that have had like a owner warranty, but then it's because of my maintenance coordinator would have to call that warranty company. And then the warranty company is like now trying to find a vendor, and it usually almost always takes longer. And then that vendor, it's finally, So generally most, I know property management companies won't work with home warranty companies.
Exactly.
I've had a warranty, like a home warranty on my property, and I did use it for a furnace. And I actually, luck of the draw, actually had a good experience, I guess. But
I mean, hey, sometimes you do.
yeah, but I also was the homeowner, and so I also knew the drill. So like they weren't able to come out same day. I think it was like 3 days later. And I was like, well, whatever. But
That's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. But technically for a tenant, that would be bad. I'd be breaking.
No, it feels like I was talking about that. It's like, no, you don't understand. Like a refrigerator not cooling, it's like a huge deal.
Yeah,
right? It's not just, it matters a lot more than some of the other stuff, because you're like, it's I mean, first of all, the food, and I lost groceries, and then it's like the social stuff. It sounds so simple, but I mentioned this in the other podcast. It was like, okay, well then, you have your ribeyes for this weekend, and then all of a sudden the fridge goes out, and you're like, like ruin my weekend. Like my weekend ruined. If I had some ribeyes and some beers ready to go, and I had some friends coming over, and I'm like, I'm gonna get some of my thyme, my garlic. I'm gonna and then like my fridge goes out, like I'm gonna be pissed as fuck. And so I think that there's a lot of like underestimating. That's why maintenance is so important. It's like you don't understand how important, like those little moments, they seem so like, okay, get over it. Okay, boo-hoo, you lost your fucking ribeye. You know what I mean? But it's like, no. But those things matter, especially when everyone's working their ass off. Like, no, I want my Friday. I want to have a peaceful Friday. I don't want to worry about a fridge, right? And then I mentioned this before, and then you have like, you have to take care of your owners. And then you have a lot of techs who, this happens a lot in the industry. They recommend replacement when in reality, it's like, you could have done that for like $200, like $300. Right. Now you're pissing off your owner when you're getting the wrong tech, or just some random tech that you're just randomly calling, because they're just trying to collect diagnostic fee. A lot of these techs, what happens in the industry, because they charge $120, $110, is that just run around, like think about how many diagnostic fees you can collect per day, right? Yeah. And then it's like, so if I'm just collecting diagnostic fees and I'm just recommending replacement, or just giving like a super high estimate, then guess how much money I'm making a day, right? So
I mean, if you're like 2 every hour, I mean, that could be a pretty good gig,
right? So that's like, there's a bunch of things, right? So that's the danger of just you can't just call just any tech, right? Because it snowballs, because your owner, there's a lot of things that they're dealing with. And so this last time I was talking about, okay, like I said the story of my friend Heidi, who literally, she was telling me like over the phone, we're going to get rid of her house. She moved to Florida, getting rid of her house in Texas, like telling me all these issues. Then the deck had to be replaced, and then this and that. And then in her scenario, it was like, and then I had to pay $2,900 for a fridge, and that was it. And so Troy and I decided to set, like, she's literally telling me this, and it's kind of just like, you don't know at what point something, just a fridge or something, just is the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. I was saying that this last time, but then I was thinking, you know what? It doesn't actually necessarily even have to be like the last thing. It could be like one of the 5 things that builds up to the snapping of the I'm done. I'm done. I'm selling this shit. And then there you go. The property manager loses the owner over a fucking washer that they weren't able to fix because like their son's coming in from college, and that was like that one fucking thing. And so I think there's a lot of people underestimate that. And sometimes you have to replace, right? But you have to be careful with that. There's a balance, right? So that's what we try to do. We go with the intention of actually fixing the appliance. Like I'll hear it all the time. This happens all the time. Like, well, okay, I see the symptoms. So if it's like, for example, the tech will say, if it's whatever, Freon, I can't do it. But if it's this, I can. So I'll go. It's like, no, then don't go. Why would I send a tech that has the capacity to only fix it if it's one out of the whatever other things? That's not right. You know what I mean? Like, why would I do that? No, I need to send a tech who actually can fix pretty much 99% of whatever the hell it is that's causing the not cooling symptom. Not like hoping for the best and just kind of throwing a tech out there and just kind of just this mediocre diagnostic and hope that the owner doesn't approve it, and then that way we earn the diagnostic fee. Like that's not good for business, and that's not the point of us. We don't want to do that. That's what all the other companies do, and then that's why. And I noticed a lot of them do that because I've seen some of the like forums and stuff. And I remember it kind of hit me a few years ago. There was this one guy, and it had nothing to do with, he was talking about something else, not related to what I'm talking about. But in passing, he's like, yeah, my average estimate for appliance repair was like, it was something ridiculous, like $100 and something, or like $100 and something. And I'm like, he wasn't talking about that. He was talking about something else. But I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, there's no way that the average cost of an appliance repair is 120 or one something. It was like 100 and something. And I'm like, but it would be though, if out of all the repairs, all of them are just charged, you're just charging diagnostic fees are like $120, 100, then your average would be lower, but that's misleading. It's like, yeah, your average is lower, but are you actually taking care of your tenant or owner? Are you actually going with the intention of actually fixing the appliance and taking care of them? You know, and so that's the problem, is that you don't really notice that. So that's something that we'll notice. Like if I start saying, hey, this Mexican, okay, he's gotten a lot of diagnostics only, he hasn't got any repairs, like what's going on? Is it that his estimates are too high? Is it that he's just saying recommended replacement and that's it? Because that's just, so those are the things that like you have to understand like who you're working with for you to kind of pick up on that.
Yeah. And well, I love that too. So you guys are kind of taking the place of like, because to be quite honest, I mean, a maintenance coordinator is not necessarily going to have the time to go back through all of their work orders every
huge
quarter.
turnover. You know how many maintenance coordinators of like got to know and then they switch them and they switch them? It's crazy.
I know it's a tough position. Well, it's a tough one to train. That's where I do think AI will definitely help out in the near future in that aspect. But yeah,
maybe like kind of like the following up between like the tenant and like AI.
Yep.
Do I think that AI can have the same type of conversation with Caesar, who randomly goes to Colombia? Or like, do I think AI will kind of hear like the hangover voice of like John?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, John sounds a little hungover. Let's send John tomorrow. That, I don't think we're quite there yet. And so that's where I think it might take a while.
Yeah, no, I think we agree there that definitely, like, even the analyzation would probably be helpful, because your average maintenance coordinator does not have the time or necessarily even the training of like, oh, hey, let's analyze all of our work orders for this quarter. And then let's break it down even to further of like, how many maintenance repairs did we have ordered? How many like just diagnostic fees were we charged versus like how many actual repairs got done? Because that's a big thing. And so that's really cool. You guys can take a look at that, because so like I just hired an electrician for my rental house. Do you know how much the diagnostic fee was? Do you want to guess?
I'm scared. What is it?
Washington State, over $500 just to walk through the door. Yeah. And that was
applied towards the repair.
Yeah. Yeah. And it only took them like 45 minutes to do things, but that's cool. I mean, they did stuff I'm not good at, but yeah.
It is what it is,
right? I told my husband, I was like, you're not charging enough, because he's a plumber. So
yes.
Plumbing company. And I'm like, maybe we should be charging more to walk.
But you know what the thing is though, is that's another thing. The reason why we just charge 60, I mean, we know it's low, but we're just trying to grow. It's upfront flat no matter what, is because we hear that all the time. It's like, okay, but I have a check who charges me 100 something, but then he applies it. He actually does it. It's like, no, they'll go, they charge this, but then if you do the repair, they don't charge me that. They don't charge me a diagnostic, right? Like they charge me 120, but if I actually go and say yes to the repair, then they won't charge me that. They just charge me the repair. That's bullshit. It's like, they still had to spend money, like the gas, the time, the diagnostic, like they're charging the diagnostic, but they're just camouflaging it in the parts and the labor. Right. So that's kind of like, and we also know that. So that's why we like to take control of the parts. We don't want to inflate the 80% inflation. That's not right. And then you have your tenants and then your owners like Googling and things like that. And yeah, it's not going to be the same price as they're finding, right? Because we're providing a service. But yes, is it a difficult conversation when you say something like, parts are on back order and they're not, or hey, this part's 20 and it's, or whatever. This part, we tell them, the tech tells them it's $200 and it's actually 40. That's a difficult conversation. And that it's not even your fault, but then you have the owner kind of like not trusting, you know what I mean? Like, and And so then it's important for you guys to find, you guys as in property manager, to find vendors that you can actually, that are reasonable, that are not trying to just like take every dollar because it's your reputation and you're relying on their information. And then you're going to make you look bad. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, owner, but like the parts are on back order. And then it's like, who are they to trust? And you're genuinely just relaying information from the tech.
Right.
But in reality, who knows what you're actually relaying from the tech? Because maybe he's full of shit. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. No, this is really enlightening, because I think especially if a property management company could bring on like a vendor like yourself, like in that national level, it's one point of contact, that would help streamline their maintenance, make them a far better candidate for building a good asset, because utilizing your vendor relationships for all that would be a huge benefit. I wish you guys.
I mean, yeah, you don't know what you're losing out or saving. Like I said, like in my friend Heidi's case, the refrigerator was the straw that broke the camel's back. Right? That was it. And even if it wasn't it, it was one of the 5 things that was it. And so then, and that's why I also like, I always talk about like some companies charge like when their vendors like, okay, I need 10% of like your invoice though. Like I'm going to give you work, but I'm going to get 10% of your invoice. And some techs accept it, but it's kind of like, for me, it's like, we can't do that. We can't do 10% because our business model just doesn't allow it, right? Most of my money is going to the tech and they don't want to get 10% off. And we need to make some money too. But also it's like, you got to think about like, considering that there is a shortage of appliance repair techs and there's an abundance, God bless, of appliance repair work.
Right.
Why would, as a tech, why would you take 10% off for no reason if you can just go somewhere else and find some work everywhere else, right? You're either maybe like not the best at advertising, you're maybe mediocre, I don't know, right? And so I don't think, and so then, but what happens, I feel like sometimes, and with all due respect to the property manager companies, like I understand they see it as like a money-making thing, but I think sometimes you gotta be careful with that. One of the things I disagree with is like, some of them are like 10% across the board. You can't do 10% across the board for all your vendors. If you're gonna make money, there's some percentages that are more reasonable. I'm not saying to make money. I'm not totally against that. But you know, you have to, it can't just be an across the board thing. It makes no sense, especially for a pledge and different things like that. That's one thing. And then 2, you have to be careful of what you're getting for, if you're getting somebody who's willing to take a 10% hit off of their invoice, especially in appliance repair, where you can just eventually work's going to come to you anyways, right? One way or another. Then it's like, why? Then maybe you're hiring a less than okay person. Maybe, I don't know. Right. So that's kind of an issue that sometimes we run into, and we won't work with people who want to take 10%. We simply can't do it for our business model. But I also don't think it's a smart idea. It's like, you're worried about making 10% off of an appliance repair, like worry about 10% maybe on some, I don't know, something else.
A larger project.
10%, what, maybe you can fix an appliance for what, $300, whatever, right? You're making a few extra bucks, but then, or maybe you hire a tech, like I said, who's willing to take 10%. They're maybe mediocre, right? And that's where they're like, oh, fuck it. I don't care. Yeah, I'll take for 10%, right? It's like, no, you don't have to take 10% off your shit. Find work somewhere else. So then whatever, right? So he takes the work and then they do maybe a mediocre repair, and then the property manager makes 10% off that, whatever the fuck, right? So you're at what, $40? But then like my friend Heidi, okay, so, but you didn't actually take care of her though. And then now she's fucking pissed. Now you just lost an owner. So now you're worried about 10%. You're worried about what, $40 right now? How about the money, all the fucking money you're going to lose when you lose the owner because you sent some asshole who's like, buy a new refrigerator when it could have been repaired for $200. You know what I mean? Right. It's easy for people to see physically, like when it's on a spreadsheet or like a document, it's easier for people to see how much money they're making. But I think the issue is like, how much money are you not making? The abstract, right? Like, how much are you losing? Because that's more abstract. Like, it's kind of harder to think of things like in that way, like the abstract money, I guess. I don't know how you would call it. Like, it's one thing to say, I made $40 on this. It's another thing, but are you actually connecting? Like when your owner leaves, do you know why they left? Maybe it was a dick. It was like, cause you don't answer. And then I was broke and it was after Christmas. And then you guys called me and told me I had to buy a fridge. And so I was like, fuck it. Then how much money you were actually making then? Was it worth the 10%, the $40? Absolutely fucking not. So I think that's one of the issues I would say in this industry is that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, what's that saying? Like chasing pennies to try and make, like stepping
Uh,
over,
bending over a dollar, pick up a penny or something like that,
yeah,
or something.
stepping over a penny or like stepping over a dollar to chase a penny, or whatever that saying is. I don't remember, but yeah.
Yes.
And I always encourage my clients too to look at the business holistically and what does make sense. So I believe like project fees make sense because you're running a really large project. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not necessarily against like maintenance markups, but I do think.
No, I mean, I think there's different ways to do it though. Like,
Yeah.
I forget what I asked Peter on the podcast last time how he did it, but I know there's different ways of doing it. I don't know if the smartest thing though is to get the 10% off the vendor, at least for some industries, right? I think if anything, if it was me, I mean, I'm not a property manager, but I would probably set something up like, okay, I'm going to charge a whatever fee every time I handle this type of work order or whatever, like a maintenance fee per month or per work order, or I'm going to charge the owner this amount because I'm handling this issue.
Yeah.
But if you're going to try to get it from the vendor, that's where I think the problems arise.
Yeah. Agreed. Because
Yeah. And then, I mean, in my case too, it's like if I have a client who's giving me a bunch of work, like I'm obviously also going to make sure that I take care of them, right? So it's like a lot of these property managers are already getting like good pricing from vendors for giving them a lot of work. So it's kind of like the 10% thing. It's like, why me? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, totally. Let's of course make some money because you're handling this issue. But you know, you have to know how to go about it a better way. And I just don't know if 10% to the vendors, the smartest thing in the long run.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
So well, I think, this has been very, very good, very interesting. As far as like, do you want to share anything you guys have coming up this year, or is there anything?
No, I mean, you actually asked me about the goals. Another goal that we have, because data is huge, right? It's very valuable. And the thing is like also you have to have like the right systems to kind of like be able to extract all this data. And we've improved our system. Some great developers like the past 2 years, like it's crazy. Like I mentioned to you, like this new update, I'm like, I can't wait to be finished because I'm going nuts. It's going to be done soon. It's going to allow us to be more efficient. And then my goal is, you know, there's not many companies that have the amount of work and years of data that we have.
Right.
Why aren't we using this data? I mean, I'll use internally. I'll ask like, hey, pull a report on average, whatever, from this time to this time with this appliance, like for a personal use to like make decisions. But it kind of hit me like the world of data is so valuable and not many companies have the capacity or the volume that like we have. Why aren't we maybe educating people with some of this data? Why aren't we sending some useful information out? I mean, talk about accumulation of data. When you're doing like 7,000 jobs a month for 13 years, like it's a lot. And so I think that one of our goals is also hopefully this year kind of just start sending out some like realistic data, right? From a company that's only done appliance repairs for this long. So that's one of our main things, hopefully, that we can eventually at some point. And I think it will help a lot of people and put some perspective on appliance repair, which a lot of people don't really know much about.
Do you guys track like which appliance brands like are repaired more, or like you get more work orders, like, or are there any particular brands that you guys can't repair? Because I know like in my mind there's one for sure that I was told all the time, like, oh, we can't repair this particular brand.
Like Miele or something, one of those. What is it like?
Samsung was one. Samsung.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. There's some brands that techs don't like. Samsung and LG, mostly Samsung. They don't like it. They don't like it because I think it's like some sort of seal in the fridges. They hate it. I think it's like a parts thing. Technology, it's like a sealed system. It's like there's some brands they'd rather not deal with. There's also, for example, out of all the appliances, one that they hate is there's two. Well, microwaves, a lot of the time, it's like a microwave is out. You might as well, almost a lot of the time you should replace it. But dishwashers is a huge issue because you're essentially having to uninstall to even diagnose it a lot of the time, right? So things like that. Techs love working obviously on Sub-Zero and things like that, right? There's some, like what is it? Speed Queen. Like there's some specific like, kind of like brands that are hard to get parts for. Bertazzoni, like that is like they hate that. So there's that. But that's my point. I will like, and it kind of didn't hit me. Like I will ask for things like that to just make decisions internally. Like, okay, well, maybe we should adjust whatever, this diagnostic for this, because this brand is more whatever. And then it was kind of just hit me like, wait a second, like the value that we have so much data and we're not, and I'm using it for me, for internally, but it's like, I think, why am I not sharing? Why are we sharing this data with everybody else? And it's not like some bullshit data. I mean, it's like legit, real life data. And so that is our goal this year. It's kind of just like, so people were, I mean.
Yeah, well, that'd be super helpful, I think, with property management companies as they're going out to get new clients. How cool would it be to be able to walk through a client's home? Because like back in the day, I used to walk through and be like, oh, you have a Samsung fridge. FYI, you can keep it until it dies. But I'm going to tell you right now, when it dies, I'm going to even put it in your contract. When it dies, we're going to have to buy you a new fridge.
They hate it. No, it's difficult to find. They don't like, it's hard to fix. It's a thing.
So how cool would it be to be able to like give a new client, or if like even acquisition wise, like if you're looking to acquire a book of business and you're like, okay, well, kind of like what's going to be my possible maintenance workload on this? Like
exactly. No, exactly. The possibilities are endless. Or like average, whatever, I don't know, work order on this brand, or how many, like you just said, like, okay, what is the most repaired brand in your refrigerator? Like there's so many things that I probably like today can say, hey, I need a report. It has to say this and that. And I get it. And then it was just kind of like a epiphany, like, why am I not sharing this? Oh, useful this would be. To be like, oh, okay, like Appliance repairman, out of like the 10 years of them been doing this, like this is the number one brand that you should not fuck with.
I love it. Yeah. You're sitting on a data gold mine. So I'll have to have you back.
That was my epiphany this year. I'm like, wait, why am I not? Who else has, I mean, thank you, right? I'm sure there's some companies been around, but like 13 years, that for any company, that's a long time. But honestly, in all fairness, the past few years, we've gotten a way better system, better developers and things like that, right? So a lot of that's kind of difficult. But now we're at a point, once we get this last data updated in our system, like data, like legitimate data, not just data that will like help me, right? Just the reality of what we deal with. Yeah. So that's my goal. I think my goal, and I think it will be of great use for people. Right?
I love that. And I always love epiphanies. They're like my most favorite.
You know what?
I said, I always love it when people have epiphanies. That's like one of my most favorite.
Yes, right? Right. Yeah. And then, we talked about this. When you see something, you can't unsee it. Now I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna rush. I'm gonna run. I'm like already thinking, like, okay, look, we do some pie charts and some graphs and post it everywhere. And it really came from something as simple as me seeing in a forum. It was a Facebook group forum. When I saw that guy talking about like my average repair, and it's just like, if that's what you're thinking, if you're thinking that's a normal average, $100 and something for a repair, and that's what your owner thinks, and then you're just going to cause yourself problems. Like you're not even being realistic with your owner. That's not even good. That's a red alert for me. It's like, oh, I wonder what tech he's using.
Right.
You know? So
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I loved having you on. You're awesome.
Thank you for having me.
And yes, like once you kind of get the data wrangled, you have to come back on and we can talk.
I'm excited.
Talk numbers and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you so much. And awesome. Have a great rest of your year. And we'll talk to you.
Thank you. Samesies.